Hello everybody and welcome to the latest episode of JF Analytics. It's been a while. How are you all guys? I hope everyone is well. And thank you for joining us on this latest episode, episode 5. In the past we've had many players, many talents, scout reports. It's a data scouting and analysis video blog brought to you by Just Football. My name is Jonathan Faduba and I'm going to take you into today's episode, which is going to be not a scout report, but it's actually going to be a player analysis. We're going to delve into a player who's been a subject of a lot of controversy lately on this episode 5. So sit back, tuck in, and it's going to be a sort of detailed analysis of this player. And we're going to get into it right now. His name is Paul Pogba. You may have heard of him. He is one of the most famous players in world football. And there's a lot of conjecture, as always with Paul Pogba, one of the most talked about names in English and world football. Rarely a day goes by without the name Paul Pogba being in the headlines. And we're going to analyse his recent form. He's been dropped recently by Manchester United. He hasn't started any of Manchester United's last 2 games. He's made 11 appearances this season, but 6 of them have come from the bench. In the recent win against Everton, he was dropped to the bench. So we're going to look at it and we're going to analyse what's going on with Paul Pogba. So firstly, a bit of preamble, of course. He's 27 years old now, so he's really coming to the peak of his career. For anyone who doesn't know about him, there he is with his cheeky smile. He's just won the World Cup in that picture. He is French, obviously, as you know. He's won over 75 caps for France. Previous clubs like Juventus, Manchester United at the moment. Market value of 72 million according to Transfermarkt. And now his career stats for Manchester United, he's played 175 games now for United. 13,571 minutes in total in all competitions. He's got 33 goals and 35 assists. So that's just the raw numbers. You could compare them to Juventus. So he's coming up to almost the exact same amount of games as he played for Juventus, where he was so successful, of course, won so many league titles there, won player of the season, that kind of thing in Italy. And yeah, he's coming up to the same amount of appearances, 178 appearances for Juventus, 14,068 minutes total, 34 goals, 40 assists. So really not too dissimilar record from Manchester United to Juventus, despite, of course, facing so much criticism over the years while he's been at United and so many haters, to put it one way. But there's no doubt about it this season. We're going to start with a statistical comparison. And there's no doubt about it this season, Pogba is in poor form. He's not really playing well. He's been dropped from the team. He isn't really putting in the performances that you would imagine for United. You know, he's often a scapegoat, but I think in this situation, the question that we're going to ask in this analysis is he out of form or is he being made the scapegoat? You know, as he is so often. But I think really when you look at it, the evidence shows you he's not playing well. This is a statistical comparison from 2018-19, 2019-20 and 2020-21. And obviously, red is not good in this situation. You can see that 2021, pretty much his worst stats that he's put up for United in the past 3 seasons. Minutes played, obviously, is a lot less. We're just early into the season, 550 minutes. But you can see, for example, his total actions per 90 minutes is well down, 58%. You know, his best is 73.6%. You can see in the middle column there. 65% in 2018-19. Goals per 90, 0 at the moment. Obviously hasn't scored. Assists per 90, 0.33, which is actually up a little bit, but expected assists is way down and worse again in his past 3 seasons, 0.04. If we just go down the column and just go down each column, shots per 90 is the worst at the moment, 0.98, 33% on target compared to 2.42 shots in 2018-19 season when he was so good, scored so many goals and assists, 16 goals, 11 assists I believe. XG per 90 as well is way down, 0.03 compared to 0.38 in his peak. Long passes are down, crosses are down, dribbles are down in terms of success rate, duels 1 success rate is down, aerial duels 1 success rate is down. So you can really see here, losing the ball a lot more, 14.4 losses per game at the moment and 29% of them in his own half. And recoveries as well, way down. He's usually good at recovering the ball in midfield. 8.99 last season and 37% in the opponent's half. This season down to 5.56 recoveries. So this just gives you an overview that statistically he really is out of form this season, Pogba. We've used a really good website called footballslices.com here to look at his comparison again. This is using StatsBomb and FB Ref Data, 2 really great websites, and footballslices.com is a really good website as well. On the left-hand side, you'll see his minutes played this season, and then you can compare it to his minutes played last season and the season before that combined. So what you can see here is it ranks all players as a percentile against all midfielders in the top 5 leagues of Europe. And what you can see from Pogba's statistics here is that if you look at the left-hand side, his statistics are well down, aren't they, this season compared to last season, in almost pretty much every area. Successful dribbles is down slightly. His dribble success percentage is well down. The amount of yards he progresses is way down. He's in the 91st percentile. He's gone down to the 46th percentile. So it's almost half. The amount of yards he's progressing per 90 minutes. Passes into the final third is well down. And in previous times, his passes into the final third is one of the top 8% in Europe. His shot creating actions are down slightly. He's one of the best players in Europe for shot creating actions per 90 over the past 2 seasons. That's slightly down. His expected assists per 90 is well down, 53rd compared to 92nd, and he's getting dribbled past a lot more this season. That percentile is way down and tackled more. So this just gives you another overview. He's really not in good form. When we compare him to the rest of his teammates, you can see it again there. Pogba at the moment, his recent stats, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has dropped him, and you can see that he's kind of deserved. Key passes 0 per 90 this season so far. Passes to the final third is one of the lowest compared to Fred and Bruno Fernandes. 1.77 as well, through passes per 90. Again, Bruno Fernandes is putting up 3.04, which is the best. Even Fred 1.3. And then you can see McTominay there at the bottom, but McTominay is not really that kind of player, is he? But even when you look at it, they're not too dissimilar in terms of passes to the final third. Pogba 8.85 versus McTominay's 7.17, and Fred, in fact, is putting up the most passes to the final third for United this season so far, 9.13, which is slightly better than Pogba. But that just shows you that his statistics really, compared to the United midfielders, maybe does justify Solskjaer kind of leaving him out of the team of late. And Didier Deschamps has been pretty honest in the recent international break and has said that Pogba's been out of form mentally, he's not been too well psychologically, and he's not played well. He even criticised him after the game against Finland, the friendly for France. And when you look at Pogba's sort of creativity, is this graph that we've put together here looks at his key passes per 90, his through passes per 90, and his expected assists. So these are all players in the Premier League, and as you can see in the early part of the season, Kevin De Bruyne is way out there, for through passes and key passes. Jack Harrison at Leeds is doing very well, Jack Grealish as well. They're leading the way for key passes per 90, but in terms of key passes and through passes combined, De Bruyne is well out in front. You've got Harry Kane, Salah, Bruno Fernandes there as well, Trent Alexander-Arnold putting through a lot of through passes per 90 as well, as he's been so creative in previous recent seasons. But if you look at Paul Pogba, you've got to go all the way here, and you can see 0 key passes per 90, and his through passes per 90 is, on that graph, it's not too good, is it? I mean, you've got Alderweireld, you've got Jordan Henderson, Ceballos. There's a lot of players that are outweighing him at the moment. He's sort of below the average as well, below the median, which we've put there. So you can see that Pogba here, this is minimum 395 minutes played. He is struggling, and just to note, the larger the circle, that's the more expected assists. So Pogba's expected assists here is really low, compared to, see, De Bruyne or Salah, someone like that, Grealish, really high expected assists per 90 minutes. So what we'll do now is, obviously, Premier League rights, we can't really show you the clips, but we've sort of highlighted them and screenshotted some clips just to show you on-field examples of what Pogba's doing not so well at the moment, and where he's going wrong. This is a game against Crystal Palace, so we've got Lindelof on the ball here early in the game, 4th minute. Pogba's there playing in that deep midfield role alongside McTominay. He's surrounded by two midfielders, and one of the issues that Pogba's having at the moment, he's getting pressed very early here, McCarthy I think it is, and he's surrounded by 3 players. Lindelof plays in the possession, and in this clip, for example, this is the first game of the season for United. He loses the ball immediately. He's tackled instantly, and it's a really dangerous position to lose the possession, really, isn't it? Because in his own half there, it leads to a counter-attack. Zaha on the break, really in a high position, and nothing comes of it in the end, but Pogba losing the ball there very early on, and it's kind of a sign of things to come in this game, and really a sign of things to come throughout much of this season, to be honest. He's really not been in great form. United lost this game 3-1 at home at Old Trafford, and to set the tempo for what's been a pretty average season, really, in the bottom half of the table in the Premier League. This is another example. Pogba picks up the ball in a deeper midfield position. You can see the positioning here. He's kind of playing in a 2 at McTominay, and then Bruno Fernandes is there as the kind of number 10. We'll debate later in this show, is that really the right role for Pogba, really? Is this a good role for him? But if you look here, he's got so much space, time to play into. Palace are quite well set, but he's looking for the pass and he can't find it. And this is another example of him sort of losing possession. He tries to play the ball in here, and it doesn't go well at all. He tries to play it into Rashford, but it's intercepted, and Palace are able to break again. And then another example, Daniel James plays him into possession here. You can see all the United shirts. He's got McTominay there, he's got Bruno, he's got Rashford, he's got Luke Shaw. He's got space to run into if he wants to. Pogba is the kind of player who can make progressive runs, and he can pick out these kind of cross-field diagonals. He's so good at it. But for some reason this season, it's just not happening for Pogba at the moment. And this is another example. He tries to play he shifts his body in, he tries to play a left-footed pass. It's a shocking ball and it goes straight to Palace in midfield, and they're able to counter-attack again. They got players to break, and this happened repeatedly in the game and led to United losing this match. Repeated turnovers of possession. In this situation, they play a ball over the top, and it's not a great ball in the end. But Pogba, you can see here, McTominay is out of the game, Luke Shaw's out of the game, and it's a 3v3 situation. And with a better pass, Palace are in there, but the pass isn't great in the end. United clear it, but they do lose the game, and it just shows you Pogba's really, really struggling in those sort of situations and turning over possession a lot. This is a really good example in the game against Arsenal. Now, against Arsenal, Manchester United lost 1-0. Pogba played on the left-hand side of a diamond. Solskjaer went for a diamond formation, which was successful against Leipzig, and it really didn't work in this game. But this is just an example of something that could even end up summing up Pogba's career at United. He's played the pass here by Bruno Fernandes, and the Pogba of old. He sees the pass there into Rashford. He loves playing off that left-hand side, which we'll talk about later in this show. But he loves playing off that left-hand side, and he sees the pass, and he plays the pass, and it's a really good ball. Rashford plays a brilliant pass back to him, which takes out 3 Arsenal players and creates really a big opening for Pogba here. Now, the Pogba of old, you look at him running onto this in a lot of space. He probably bends that into the top corner, or he takes the ball, progresses it, and does some magic, works some of the Pog magic that we've come to see over the years at Juventus and with France and United at times. But here, really, it just summed him up this season. He's really slow to sort of take up the possession. He's a bit hesitant, and Arsenal get the ball immediately. It's Gabriel Magalhaes makes it quite an easy tackle on him. Pogba is left on his backside, as you can see there. And Gabriel plays it to Lacazette, and Arsenal have a really sort of quite dangerous counter-attack. Again, United's players are taken out here, and it leads to quite a dangerous counter-attack, as we said. Aubameyang, Lacazette, Willian, a better pass, and maybe they're in. And in the end, it's not a great pass, but Pogba's completely out of the game. So those are some clips on the ball in terms of what Pogba's lacking a little bit, what he's not doing so well. Here, off the ball, this, as I said, this 5 minutes basically, this 64th to the 67th minute, 69th minute when Arsenal score to win the game, a penalty. This really sums up Pogba's season. He's gone from that chance to 3 minutes later giving away this clumsy penalty. And he's given away a couple of penalties this season, one against Spurs as well in a 6-1 defeat, here against Arsenal and against Brighton as well, although VAR overturned it. But in this situation, he's just too slow to realise the danger. Hector Bellerin, the ball is played into the area. He's got a lot of ground to cover there, Bellerin, but he actually outpaces Pogba, gets to the ball first, and Pogba makes a really clumsy challenge. He shouldn't be making a challenge in that situation. Bellerin's going nowhere, and it leads to a penalty. So really, the summary of this opening half of the show is Pogba's really struggling at the moment. But one thing we've noticed is he's actually doing okay for France. The Pogba at Manchester United is not the Pogba with the French national team this season. And we got some examples here to show it. We looked at the total actions. And in fact, we've taken 2 games for France in the Nations League against Portugal. And what you can see here is total successful actions. The success percentage is way higher when he's with France than it is for United. What we've done is we've taken 2 games which he started. He's not played many 90 minutes, but he played 90 minutes against Arsenal and he played 90 minutes against Spurs. And his total successful actions percentage was 57% and 56%, which is pretty poor for such a top player. But against Portugal in these 2 games in the Nations League, his successful actions is 77% and 64%. Also, what you can see here is the total actions, 111 and 123. And successful 85 and 79 versus 44 and 53 successful actions and 79 and 93 total. What does this mean? It means that Pogba is getting on the ball a lot more for France than he is for United. He's getting on the ball, he's doing a lot more things, he's making more things happen, and he's being more successful percentage-wise than he is for United. For United, he's not as involved, and he's also, the things he is involved in, he's not doing really as effective as he could be, as he is with France. It's been a real conundrum with Pogba at United, hasn't he? He joined in 2016, he's been there for 4 years, he's coming to the peak of his career now, and there's been a lot of criticism in the past couple of weeks. He's constantly talking about maybe moving to Real Madrid, and let's analyse how he can turn it around. Why is Pogba always sort of the debate in United's team, and why can't he fit into this team under Solskjaer at the moment? Is it him? Is it Manchester United? What can be done? Because, as we all know, he's a world-class player on his day. Well, this is just a couple of quotes. One of them is in French, which I'll translate. But he said in 2016, Pogba, just before he rejoined Manchester United, he said, "Midfielder on the left is my best position. I can play in a 3 on the left or right, but I feel more comfortable playing on the left." So he prefers to play on that left-hand side. And Griezmann actually commented here. He just says that people expect too much of Pogba. They want these amazing technical gestures, goals from long range. They want him to lift the crowd. But when he's with the French national team, all we ask of him is that he just recovers the ball and makes the team a better team and makes the team play. And I thought that was quite an interesting insight, because sometimes with Pogba there is that kind of expectation, isn't there, that he should do something dazzling in every appearance. And maybe there's a sort of discrepancy there between the expectations at United and the expectations with France. What we've done here, hopefully you can see this is clear on the screen, but I've looked at some games and I've gone back and watched a lot of clips from Pogba in the last sort of 3-4 years basically, and I've picked out a couple of games that kind of show his positions and maybe where he best plays and where he most likes to play. And 2 of the games that we've picked up here one is for Juventus against Sampdoria, and they won 5-0, and Pogba was outstanding. This is just before he left to rejoin Manchester United in 2016. And you can see him here occupying in a 3-5-2. He's on that left-hand side. You can see all his actions here on the field. Playing in that left-hand side, down this side of the pitch is where he really likes to be. And another example, one of his best games for United, and I did ask on Twitter, for input on that. And I agree that one of his best games for United was against Everton away in January 2018, where he was sensational really on the left-hand side. Jamie Carragher did the commentary that day, and even Carragher was raving about him, which says a lot. And again, it came on the left-hand side. This was a 3-man midfield under Jose Mourinho with Matic and Ander Herrera. And again, Pogba on that left, he was so influential in this game. Getting in these pockets, playing passes into the area, playing crossfield balls, and just generally sort of drifting to the left-hand side from midfield, which he said in the quote we just showed you that he likes to do. Now, really, when we analyse it with Pogba, I think Manchester United are coming to a point where they have to make a decision. And I think when we look at it and say, what can he do to improve? On the one hand, he does have to be sharper on the ball. He has to be better, crisper. I personally think he's looked a little bit out of shape maybe this season as well. He's not looked as athletic. He's looked a bit lumbering on the ball. He's had his fitness issues as well for the last year or so, with COVID and a long-term ankle injury. And I think he needs to get that back into his system. He needs to get back into his rhythm. But also, that's his individual, what he needs to do as a player. But also, what can Manchester United do to help Pogba turn it around? And I have to say, I think that at United, there is an argument that, maybe United don't really set up as a team and as a squad and as a club, really. They haven't really set up to really get the best out of Pogba. And I think, the recruitment as well maybe is something to talk about in that sense, which we'll come to. But when we look at it really, Pogba's probably his best periods for United have been with Matic and Herrera in a 4-3-3, often in the left-hand side. If you look on the right-hand side here, we've looked at some of his best setups. Where has he best played in his career so far? And 3 of them that we've picked out. One of them was with Juventus, where he was so good in a sort of 3-5-2. It was at times with Pirlo, and then obviously with Marquisio, Khedira, Dybala, Mandzukic, Lichtstein and Alexandro, playing on that left side, in that channel as a number 10, and being able to drift into here, into pockets, or drift out here and play in Sandro. In the World Cup, he was so successful in the World Cup. He played in a sort of a 4-4-2. Mbappe played on the right. But he had the support of Kante, who would drop inside, and he also had Matuidi on the left, who would come in as well and help him defensively. And that allowed Pogba more freedom to roam if he needed to, even though it was a more rigid 4-4-2, and France obviously won the World Cup in that shape. And with Manchester United under Mourinho, and even with Solskjaer when he first got the job, Pogba's really been at his best when he's had that freedom to roam and that license to get forward, rather than the defensive responsibility of being in a two-man sort of pivot midfield. A lot of the games he's played with Mourinho where he played his best, it really was linking with Lingard, linking up with the left-back Luke Shaw. Pogba really likes to interact with the left-backs, the full-backs, But one of the problems at United is that he one of his best attributes is that long diagonal 70-yard pass that he loves to play. But at United, he's often played it to inside wide men. Now, Lingard is a sort of an inside wide man. Martial often plays on the left for United, and he's an inside wide man. And Mata is an inside wide man. And that lack of width over the past 4 years for United, really, they haven't really had much width. They haven't really had an out-and-out winger for so many years, United on the right-hand side. And that, I think, has kind of hamstrung Pogba to a certain extent as well. The full-backs as well, Valencia came to the end of his time. Shaw has had his issues in general. There's been no real sort of attacking width for United to get forward and support Pogba. And I think that, in a sense, that chaos at United has kind of hampered him maybe to a certain extent as well. There's been so many managerial changes. He's had Mourinho, then he had Solskjaer. That has maybe led to a bit of the lingering disgruntlement, in the constant Madrid list. This United team has been consistently unbalanced for a long period of time in terms of personnel. So really, when we look at it, although he was shocking in that United game against Arsenal in a diamond formation, there were some mitigating factors. It was a really bad team performance. United rarely mustered a shot on target. Maybe getting back to that playing as a 4-3-3, what we've done here is suggested some new formations for United. Is there a way to maybe get Pogba integrated and get the best out of him? 3 suggestions I had maybe that could work. One is maybe the 4-2-3-1, but on the right hand side, Bruno Fernandes in attacking midfield and Martial, Cavani and Rashford. As I said, Pogba's been a little bit of a victim of recruitment in the sense that he probably likes to play in that pocket where Bruno Fernandes now plays, but because Bruno's there now, he can't really do it. He also likes to play on that left-hand side, but United often in the past 2-3 seasons have played Rashford there or Martial there, and that means that Pogba has had to sort of dip into the midfield areas where maybe it would be better having someone who maybe playing Rashford on a different side, or maybe shifting Pogba, and that's the suggestion here, potentially playing him on the right-hand side of that 3, where he can sort of be in a 3-man midfield but come out to the right, play diagonals over to the left-hand side if he needs to, because that long-range passing is something you don't want to lose for Pogba. He's so good at it. And in this situation, he would have the support of Wan-Bissaka, who can support him on the right-hand side and is really good defensively. He's not so good at crossing, but he's, Pogba, like if Pogba drifts inside and roams and is counter-attack, United are counter-attack, Wan-Bissaka is quite trustworthy to get back and support. Maybe another example, another suggestion is sort of a Liverpool-style 4-3-3 with Bruno Fernandes as a false 9, sort of drifting deeper into midfield, and Rashford and Martial sort of cutting in and coming in as they like to do as the forwards, or maybe other forwards. This would allow Pogba in a 3-man midfield to kind of play off that left-hand side. He can come out here, Bruno drops in, and it's kind of a bit like the diamond that we talked about in the Arsenal game. Maybe it's a slight tweak of it because Bruno would be the man up front, whereas Greenwood played on this side, and it was a slightly different shape up for United. But maybe Bruno as a false 9 is something that could work. It was worked for Roberto Firmino, who he's a number 9 but can also play as a 10. Bruno is more of a 10. He's not an out and out number 9 by any means. Maybe Bruno dropping deeper and playing those raked passes that Liverpool often do to Mane and Salah, playing those raked passes from Pogba or from Bruno into Rashford and Martial. Maybe that's an option. I think you would definitely need Alex Telles because you'd need some width on both sides. Wan-Bissaka isn't really great at that, but at least Telles could link up with Pogba down that left. And Pogba loves to sort of play these passes around here. He loves to get into the channel right here and play sort of diagonals in field or play diagonals out wide. Incisive passes into the area. And this is just, the traditional formation United have played. This is what they used to play under Jose Mourinho, and this is where he has been quite successful in the past. So maybe United could go back to that and they'd obviously have to adapt their shape and the personnel. I'll finish it with a quote from Didier Deschamps, who on the back end of this international break said, "Just see what he was able to do in Portugal and what he did tonight against Sweden. I know him, I know how he works, he has pride, and above all he has talent. When you have to defend, he can defend. When he has the opportunity to express himself, he is able to do so. Paul is a top level player, and I hope what he did with us will be useful to him when he gets back to his club." So really, the onus is on Pogba now. He's 27. It's a key moment in time, I think, for his career. His contract is kind of up in 2022. United have triggered an extension, but really we're coming to the end game now. If he's going to move to Madrid and get that career move, or if he's going to make himself a legend at United, it's time to really do it now. And although I worry that playing with Bruno means United lack the security, because Pogba has greater defensive responsibilities, I think it's been proven that his best periods for United have been in that 4-3-3. And I think the onus now is on Solskjaer to either figure out a way to get him in there where he doesn't have to play as that sort of deep lying midfielder and he can have the more license to roam, or he's going to have to take a decision on Pogba and really decide whether he's going to have him in the long term and if he is a long term choice for him at United. Because he's got Rashford on the left, he's got players on the left which is kind of clogging up that space for Pogba. He's now got Bruno Fernandes, Donny van der Beek as well, clogging up that sort of number 10 attacking midfield role. You start to ask yourself, really, what is the future for Pogba at United? So there he is. You can see what he can do on his day. That's one of his best games for the club. Yeah, the 2 goals against Manchester City with the blue hair. And, I'd like to see him get back to his best form. And I'm sure many other Manchester United fans would as well. So, I hope this analysis has kind of shown what he's been doing badly and sort of prove that he has really been out of form. But also prove that United aren't really maybe putting him in the best positions that traditionally he's played. And maybe it's time to look at that and review that and think, is Manchester United doing the best to get the best out of Paul Pogba as well? While he's not playing well in himself, are United actually doing everything they can to get the best out of him? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. That's all we've got time for in this show. I hope it's been useful. I hope it's given you a sort of overview of Pogba, what he can do, where he's going wrong, and maybe some suggestions for how he can get back to his best. This has been an episode of JF Analytics. My name is Jonathan Faduba. You can get me on Twitter at JFFootball, FUTBOL, as you can see there, and subscribe on YouTube for more. bit.ly/JF Analytics. Please hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends, share it with people you know, and hopefully we can come back with more episodes in the future. So thanks a lot, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this show. Goodbye.